Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Tango Protocol. In this one we'll be going through functions and why it's really important for Python. If you find this video helpful, make sure to subscribe and like, as it will help me out too. If you got any questions, make sure to comment down below and I'll try to help you out. In this video, as I said, we'll be going through functions, and functions are the fundamental concept of Python, where we use in pretty much in every of our code, and it helps us keep our code organized and clean, and also helps us reuse parts of our old code, and that's really powerful. So let's just print a hello world statement and get that. Print print that. We get hello world, and then this is basically just scripting, so we're not using any sort of functions here. Print is just scripting hello world. So how we define a function is we start with def, and this means define, so def for define, and then we give a function a name. We're going to call this hello world, and then some parentheses. I'll explain why we need the parentheses later. And we'll do print, and then let's just do hello world. So we've created our function, but when we create a function, we have to call it, otherwise it doesn't get used. So let's run this. Nothing happens because we've created a function, but we never called it, so we never use the function. So we basically print hello world and see what happens here. Python knows hello world function is an actual function, and then Python also knows the name for that hello world function called hello world, and then it gives us a location. This is basically where this function lives on the computer and the device. This is more of like under the hood of Python, which we won't go through in this series. I don't think so. So let's clear this, and let's look at the data type of this function quickly. Let's run this. So we've got a data type and it's called function. Previously we were aware of 4 data types, which were the main ones: string, boolean, integers and floats. But now we're introducing a new data type called function, and this is also a main data type, but more of an advanced one. What's happening here? Never mind. So that's nice to know. So how do we actually open call our function? So yeah, again, we do need to write in our name the name of that function, but we give it a parenthesis after this. So this tells us we're calling the function rather than telling us what the function is about. So now we get hello world and then none. I'll explain what the none means right now, but let's play around with the hello world. So let's do hello Joe, run this, and then we get hello Joe. We can do also other data types like 12 and floats and integers. But let's look at the parentheses. So inside this parentheses we can put in parameters. Another word for this is arguments, and with these parameters we can basically, these parameters are variables without any values. Well, that they have values, but we don't set the values inside the function. We set the values of these parameters inside when we call the function. Since we have no parameters, we don't give it any parameters here. But when we do have a parameter called message, we will have to give it a parameter here too. So it has to be balanced. Another thing is, this message is completely different to this message, even though they have the same name. This has got to do with scoping, and I'll explain scoping later down in the video, if which is also an advanced concept too. But scoping is well known for functions and other things too. Alright, here I'm back. So let's run this and see what happens. It gives us an error. So we can see this error is on line 5, which is on which is here, and it says missing one required position argument message. As I said, it has to be balanced. So if we have a message here, we need to give the message a value. So let's give it a value, and then we give this value, let's say hey. So the value is hey, and we can use that message inside this print as a variable. So we run this and we get hey. Let's just do hello Joe. We run this, we get hello Joe, and now let's look at why this is saying none. So basically with a function expects to return a value. If it doesn't return a value, it returns nothing, and so Python returns none as it isn't returning a value. Although we are outputting a value, we're not returning anything. Where print outputs a value but it doesn't return anything. So that is why we have a none here. Python thinks we're not returning anything, so it gives us a run, a none. So how we return a value, we do return, and then let's give it hello world again. We get rid of this message quickly. Don't want to delete the whole thing, and get rid of this. So why we're not doing this in parentheses after the return is because the return doesn't take any parentheses, it only takes in value after that. So let's do return hello world, and it gives us hello world and nothing after it. So we do hello Joe, we should do that, we get hello Joe. Let's implement that message again. Hello Joe, and then we do, instead of the string, we do message, and this should do the trick. So yeah, hello Joe. So with functions we can implement all the concepts into this, like if else statements, lists, and variables. So we can create our own variables in here, which is scoping. So we can do name equals Joe, if name dot title equals message, return I just made a mistake there. I just switch over to double quotes because since I'm using a single quote here, Python will think I'm ending the quote. Else return so let's just clear this. What have I done? So we give it a name, let's just do Jim, and we run this, we get hello you're not recognized. If we do Joe, we get hello you're recognized. So any name that is Joe returns this statement, else it won't return, it will return that. So we can use this to do all the concepts. So why are functions powerful? Well, let's say we have a different function called def calculate. In parameters we'll do num1, and then we have num2, and then we basically, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to I'm going to introduce a new operator, and it's the square, no, not square root, it's the square operator, so squaring a number. So we could just do return num1 num2. So basically num1 gets squared by num2. So if num1 was 3 and num2 was 2, so it'll be square root by 2. So it'll be 3 times 3, which is 9. But if num1 was number 3, if num2 was number 3, it'll be 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. So let's do this. Let's print out this function, and we can do, as I said, 3 and 2. We basically, the first argument relates to the first argument here, the second argument relates to the second argument here. We run this and we get 9 because 3 times 3 is 9. If we do 3 times 3 times 3, it should be 8. Never mind, it should be 27. My math is awful. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So we could do other numbers like 4 times 3 times 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. So why this is useful is we can, instead of setting up, if we hadn't used a function, how we would have had done this is that num1 equals 3, num2 equals 4, and then we do print num1 square by num2, so 81. So this is alright if we're doing this only once, but if we're doing this a couple of times, then what we'll have to do is we'll have to do num1 equals 2, and then num2 equals 3, and then we have to print the whole thing again, and then num2, and eventually it's just more code. You're just writing more code at this point. You're writing more code. If you just had made a function and just had print, let's get this back, print calculate, and then just do 2 and 3, 4, say 4, and that was way more cleaner and smaller. We're swinging calculate, let's do 1 and 100, it's gonna be 1, so it's cleaner. If you want to make this a bit more readable, we could do square equals num1 times num2, and then return square if you want to make it a bit more readable. It'll do the same thing, but it's just a bit more easy to read. So that's explaining how we could use functions. Let's see what I meant by scoping. So basically, let's still use this example, but now we have square equals 3. Well, actually, oh look, okay, I have to put square before the def. So what's happening here is if logically what happens here is square is initialized to 3, so we make a variable with square, then we define a function with the parameters number 1 and number 2, and then we make another variable called square, and then it basically does the calculation and returns square. But this isn't changing the original square at all. If we had done square equals 1 outside of the function, this is changing this square into 1, but this square is not getting changed. So let's do print square here. So this one should print 3. So yeah, as you can see, it's not being changed. So why is this happening? So in this function we're returning square. So basically this function knows we need to look for a variable for square. So how Python does it is, before it looks at the global, so basically everything outside of the function, before it does that, it looks for everything inside the function. So it scans the function first, and if it can't find square inside the function, it scans everything outside the function. So if we had commented that, we do this, and it'll return 3 because Python can't find the variable name square inside the function, but it's found it outside the function, so it returns square here. But since now Python can find the function name in here, I mean the variable name here, it does that calculation, but it also stores this variable in a different location. So these two variables are being stored in different locations, but they don't get overwritten. They're just variables with the same name, but there is a catch to this. You can't call square outside of a function because Python is okay. So basically, square, we know square is a variable, but it's inside the function. But when we're printing something outside of the function, we're not looking inside of the function for that variable. So when we print this, it gives us a square is undefined, and this is because of square. Square is inside squared inside the calculate function rather than anywhere outside of it. So that's basically scoping. I'm trying to think of any other examples where we could be using functions. Alright, never mind. So basically, I'm gonna give you a task, a function, a project to do. So we're gonna make a function called find largest, and then we're gonna do pass. Basically, pass means do nothing. So basically, this function is doing nothing. I'm just trying pass just to uh, get rid of that error. And this find large takes in a list, because functions can also take in lists. So let's say numbers, and this numbers is a list. So we do print find largest, and this is a list of, let's say 1 2 1 4 3. So these are model numbers. So we've got a list of numbers, and we can see inside here 7 is the largest number, but we find we basically want to find 7, with the largest number inside any list. So it doesn't have to be this list, it can be any list. So what's important to know would be some list methods. So list name dot sort, that will come in helpful. And then another thing is indexing. So with these two examples, with this example and these two hints, hopefully you can find out the answer. If you can't find the out, don't worry, this is a challenging question. It will take a lot of thinking to do, but if you got the answer, that's great. I'll give you 5 seconds. Hopefully you've got the answer. If you don't, it's perfectly fine. Just follow along and you'll understand why we've done it this way. And I want to mention this project, this quiz, I should say actually. You may have figured it out, but I've done it a different way sometimes. So if I've done it a different way, it doesn't mean your answer is wrong. It just means you've approached um, situation in a different way, which is perfectly understandable and a valid answer. So don't think you've got it wrong, even if I written a different way. So let's just print out. Let's just first of all return numbers. See what happens when we return numbers. We get return the whole list. So let's sort the numbers from smallest to largest, and we do that with the sort method. So we do small to large equals numbers, because remember this is the we're taking in a list, and this list name is numbers. So numbers dot sort, and then let's just return return small to large, see what it gives us here, and it gives us nothing apparently. Let me try this. Clear numbers dot sort, pretty sure that's it. Is it not? Let's try to actually let me comment this. Return numbers dot sort. Run this. Still get none. See what happens. Be run this. Okay, there's another way of doing this. Well, oh, I understand what I've done now. I've understood. Okay, yeah. So what's happening here is, oops, we don't supposed to give this a variable name. So what's happening here, when we're running this method, we're not supposed to give, we're just supposed to do that and then return numbers, because now the numbers list is getting mutated, meaning it's getting sorted, it's getting fixed, and now it's getting organized from smallest to largest. And now what's left to do is to return the last number of the list. And there's two ways of doing this, hypothetically. So we can do basically length equals length numbers, and then we just do numbers dot length length, but this won't do it because look, uh, yeah, length minus 1. Now that'll work, because remember Python starts counting at 0. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 long, but since Python starts from 0, it's 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So it's out of index, so you have to do length minus 1, and that does give us the biggest number. It gives us the biggest number, but there's a short way of doing it, and that's just doing -1, because if you remember, if you do -1, it'll always get the last number from the list, and then it gives us 7. So let's try a different list. Find largest, and then we do a list of 2 2 3 2 1, then 3 4 2 and 3. It's a way bigger list, but like it'll let's just comment this out actually. So biggest number here is 44. I'm pretty sure this will work for decimal too. So let me just delete some of these lines, it's getting a bit cluttered here. Delete this one too. So we print largest number, and then 2 and 2.2 and 2.22. So the largest number should be 2.22 here. So let's run this, and it gives us 2.22. Let's get rid of this. It gives us this. Let's see what happens if we do 2.0, and it's 2.0. If you have two identical numbers, well, it's just gonna give us the same number. So if the biggest number is identical number, well, it's just gonna do that. That's a pretty simple way of finding the largest number of a list. So hopefully this video has helped you out with functions. This video is a long one too, so hope you enjoy it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and watch out for the next